This conference will now be recorded.
So welcome this evening. This is the AnCan High Risk Advanced Prostate Cancer Group, and I'm tonight's leader, Herb Geller, and welcome you all. And hopefully we'll have an interesting discussion tonight. And we have a few people who want some time, but we have two new people tonight, Jim Crawford and Maria Cintia, who is speaking for Fernando, who has just been diagnosed. So I think we'll start with Jim, and then Maria, you can listen and hear what we're going to ask you to get the information we need, and then so we can start the discussion. And Rick, if you would help me out, that would be great.
Sure. So what we try to do to make it a little quicker, Jim, is we'll ask you a few questions sort of to guide you through an introduction to your background. And and I do know that you're here courtesy of Gary Peters. So welcome. We've been working with Gary for some time now.
Okay, I found it.
Oh, you found it. Go ahead. You don't need me anymore.
I'm sorry, Rick, but thank you for the introduction. So, Jim, so how old are you?
I'm 77.
Did you say 77?
77, yep.
77, okay. And you said you live in DC, in the DC area.
That's right. Yes, I do.
There were like quite a few of us on the screen at the moment. So when were you first diagnosed? Right. When were you first diagnosed with your disease?
Yeah, I 2017 in January, I got a diagnosis from a biopsy by a urologist in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I live in Pennsylvania sort of half the time. I have a farm there that I'm retiring from, not completely retired from, but anyway, so I had a urologist in Pennsylvania whom I decided eventually I didn't like at all. But anyway, he let my PSA get to 19 before he really recommended a biopsy.
Oh,
and,
man.
I realized that I should have, if I'd have done it when it was 12 or 14, I probably would have caught it. But anyway, I would have, well, I'll tell you why I didn't catch it. But anyhow, so in January of 17, he said, yes, you have prostate cancer, and told me all about the details of it and Gleason score, which unfortunately I cannot remember. I can't bring it up right off, but it was in moderate range. I don't remember the numbers, like 3-4 or 4-3 or something. Anyway, so then I immediately, then he of course wanted to take out my prostate by laparoscopic thing, and I was sort of losing trust in him because of the way he was operating, the way he was talking to me and stuff. So I get involved with Johns Hopkins in Baltimore instead, and I got an appointment with a very well-known, apparently, guy named Carter in Johns Hopkins, and
he was a urologist.
Yeah,
yes.
he's the urologist, and he does the only thing he's done his whole life is take people's prostate out, and his first name is Ballantyne, if that rings a bell to anybody. Ballantyne Carter.
Yeah.
And he was recommended by another. Yeah, he's now retired. He's been retired for two years now. Anyway, and so he immediately made me an appointment, and I saw him, and then he scheduled the surgery for March the 14th of 2017, and he did it by the old-fashioned way. Cut me in front, and and then of course the pathology report came the next day morning, whatever, and said, yes, you have some positive margins. And so, explained that to me and sort of made it sound rosy, but I just knew that.
Well, did the Hopkins pathologist give you a Gleason score?
Yeah, I just said a few minutes ago, I don't have it in front of me here, but it was like a 3-4 or 4-3 or something like that. I just don't remember.
Okay.
So Jim, just to distinguish, there are two Gleason scores that we're interested in. The one was when you were biopsied, and the other one was after they took out your prostate.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get one that I knew about after the operation, but I got one when I got diagnosed.
Okay, so that's important piece of information
Yeah.
that you need to get. You do have, and you will have, and it's in your surgical report. So you need to get that surgical report, and you need to know, in terms of your treatment now, you need to know what your post-surgical
Right.
RP was, because that's the definitive one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I probably did get that, but I didn't pay enough attention, I guess. So
Okay, so after the surgery, what happened to your PSA?
It went down to undetectable.
Okay.
And it was down, I don't know, 0.09, I think it was the first one. And then it went from, just gradually declined for 4 years till it got to 0.2. And when I got to 0.2, Dr. Carter had retired, so I went for another urologist at the Sibley Hospital in Washington, a guy named Ben Abdallah, and had an appointment with him, and said, well, my PSA has reached 0.2, and he said, well, okay, it's time you have to have radiation, and I'll set you up with the doctor at Sibley who does this, and that was Dr. Gary, what's his name? The doctor at Sibley.
DeVille.
Yeah, DeVille, Dr. DeVille, and so.
So did they do, before they did this radiation, and of course 0.2 is not a high number to many of us, did they do any scans?
Yeah, but they did a scan before they did the radiation. Yeah, they did an MRI.
Well,
It said that there hadn't been what do you call it? It hadn't spread.
It had not spread.
Yeah.
So they didn't find any mets, but they might not have at that level of PSA. So
exactly, and that's what they said.
So then, what did they irradiate?
Well, the surgical bed. That's what they said.
Okay.
Just the bed.
Well, that's what I was told. I mean, I didn't. There might have been something else going on that they didn't tell me. I don't know, but I asked that question, and they said, "Well, we're going to." So,
how many treatments did you get?
39.
You got 39 treatments, and okay, and this was done at Sibley.
Yes, at Sibley, and it went all over the period of 8 weeks, from April to June. Yeah.
So
not
then,
the end. I'm sorry, mid-April to mid-June.
And then, so when did you get this radiation?
I just this past mid-April to mid-June.
Of this year?
Yes, just this past.
Oh, okay.
That's how I know Gary, because Gary was getting it at the same time.
Uh-huh. And then, so since the radiation in June, have they been measuring your PSA or done anything else?
Well, funny you say that. I just got one today. And it was less than, let's see, what is it? Less than 0.02. Yes, 0.02.
Okay.
So I guess they call that undetectable, I guess, right?
Right.
It was kind of confusing because I had another one. Let's see, the PSA test I had at the end of the radiation, at the end of June or mid-June, it said the PSA then was less than 0.1, and that was apparently considered undetectable. And then the one that I just got was 0.02, which they also said was undetectable, obviously. So
right, if there's a less than, it just means that it's lower than the limit of the assay that they're using. So that's about as low as they can go. So so far it sounds like you're on the right trajectory, And so I'm wondering, what questions do you have for us?
Yeah, well, I guess my main, well, here, let me just finish at the, or did I just say this? I just got a PSA today, and it was exactly the same as the PSA I got at the end of my radiation. Now, it's kind of interesting that this is, that one doctor, my regular doctor, has been doing my PSA for me for every 3 months for years. And at Sibley, on the 17th of June, my PSA was less than 0.1. And at the same time, I had it done by this other doctor, and it came back and said, your PSA is less than 0.02. So just, I don't know whether that's of interest or not.
There's
But
nothing,
anyway, that's what,
well, there's nothing really that's inconsistent in the sense that if it's less than 0.02 on that assay, it's less than 0.1 on another assay, it really says the same thing, that it's below.
yeah, that's what I thought.
So the other thing I was going to ask you, Jim, have you had any genetic testing done?
I'm not, no. No.
Okay, so they
At
didn't
least
do
not
any
that I know
testing.
of. They didn't tell me if they did it. They may have without
Well,
telling me. I don't know.
Well, they ought to. They ought to tell you if they did it. It's kind of, it would be unethical to do it without telling you.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
maybe
So we're back to the so if the question is there a difference between a less than 0.02 and a less than 0.1? There really isn't. It just means
yeah. No,
whatever
that's right.
assay they were using, that's the limit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I assumed. And the same test, the same lab came back today with the same one. That same lab came back with in mid-June. So, which is also 0.02 less than.
Right.
So in other words, it's exactly the same 3 months later. So I'm glad about that. But so here's, sorry.
No, I was going to say, it sounds like you have two methods going on. One's called ultrasensitive, which gets to the lower number.
Oh, I see. Let me. I think
Sorry,
he's
I
on
couldn't
the
hear
phone. Yeah, I think Phil Snyder was on the phone. So, I guess the question I had is, what are the questions you might have for us that we can?
Yes, that's what I want to get to. Yeah, my main concern is getting my testosterone back because it really has affected. I have my history of that was that I started the ADT on the 1st of January, and then I had my radiation in April, May, June, and they gave me 2 shots of Eligard during that time, and so my my testosterone went down to. I just happened to look at it today. It went down to 2.5. 2.5. And of course but the testosterone I had right before the radiation,
So wait a minute.
In January my testosterone was 503. So it went from 503 in January down to 2.5 in June.
So the question is, what drug are they giving you that's doing that to the testosterone?
Eligard. He just said Eligard.
I missed it.
Okay.
So
let me just. Let me just say, Jim.
What?
That's what it's supposed to do. That's why they gave it. If they didn't
Yes, I
explain
understand it
to you.
Yes, no, I totally understood it. I completely understood it.
So if the
I'm just saying, here's what happened, and here's how it worked. I got the first shot of Eligard in January, and the second shot in April.
No. We've got it. It did what it was supposed to do. We understand. They gave you the Eligard. You got a 90-day. They gave you another 90-day. Probably means without looking at your biopsy or your Gleason, that you probably had a Gleason of 4+3. That's what I'm guessing. That's why they gave you 6 months. And that was your post-operative Gleason score. They'll give you shots to keep your testosterone low. Now, the question is, how long does it take to come back? The rule of thumb, and this is only a rule of thumb, is it's usually about twice the amount of time that you've been on it. So you can expect it to take a plus or minus 12 months for it to come back. That you had a PSA of 500 when you started is excellent for a man of 77. That's really very high for a guy of 77, so God bless you. You just have to wait for it to come back. It's part of the treatment, and I can tell you that when I came off treatment, and I was much younger at the time, I was 59, 58, it took me, no, 59, it took about 6 months before anything registered. I finished in the February, and I saw something in the August.
Well, let me tell you this, which I just got today, just like 2 hours ago. My testosterone 2 days ago was up to 220, 220.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, from being 2.5 in mid-June to 220 today. Oh, not 20, 206, I think it was, something like that. Anyways, over 200. So I was really surprised, and of course, pretty happy about that. And but I'm still. But here's the interesting thing to me: is that I expected to have these side effects of no testosterone, sometime back soon after I started taking the pills and got the first Eligard. And in fact, I did not get very much of those side effects until the end. In fact, a month after the end of the radiation, I started having a lot more side effects of low testosterone, which surprised me a lot. Now, just in the last few days, I started having the feeling that it's coming back, and I'm really surprised that it's that I'm seeing that happen. So I don't know. This is, of course, I only know my own case, but I was surprised. So.
Well, but it sounds like, your last Eligard shot was when?
In April.
In April. So
it may have been the early first week of May.
But you're already halfway there to what was your pre-existing testosterone.
Exactly, right, which really surprised me, yeah. Because what I did, let me just tell you this other thing that happened last week is I went to another different urologist the one that sent me to Dr. DeVille, that sent me to the radiation. And I went to him last week and asked him, will you give me more testosterone so I can get my testosterone back? And he said, no. I knew he would say that. He said, but let's wait till January and see if your PSA stays where it is. Then maybe we will give you testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he said. That was the second time I saw him, and I have a pretty high opinion of the guy. His name is Ben Abdullah. That's his full last name. His first name is Justin. Anyway, so
one reason I encourage Jim to attend is because he's only dealing with your urologist. He has no oncologist.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Can I ask him a question?
Of course, yeah.
Please, may I ask him a question? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah. You want
Go
to
ahead,
ask me a
Jim.
question?
My question is pertinent to the conversation, just because you were treated at Hopkins. DeVille was my radiation guy. I had my treatment there. So what I'm asking is, if you were treated there, then you would have presumably the online portal where your information, your appointments come in.
Yes, I do.
Your pathology report is there. The surgeon gives her a pathology report and puts it in the portal. So that's accessible to you. Your Gleason score and anything else that you don't know is in there for you to go find.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
just letting you know that.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'll go look at it. Mm-hmm.
Rusty, you had something to say.
Yeah, he's tracking in my path, but I am currently on testosterone patches a year and a month now since my last Lupron shot and radiation, my testosterone was just not coming up. I mean, it was as low as I think about 90 when I started measuring it on the rebound. But even with the patches, I'm still at like 240, and I'm only 60. So yeah, but there are doctors out there, and there are opinions that are changing. If your PSA is maintaining at a low undetectable level, now I do have to get PSA test every month, but so far it's been undetectable. I've been on testosterone now for 4 months. So it is an option down the road, but they wouldn't have done it in the first year with me. It was, you know, they had to wait a year at least to see what was going to happen naturally.
If you're 77 years old and it's 220 already, I would hold tight because you're recovering at a faster rate than most guys.
I agree.
Right. So I think
one of the reasons for that is because you didn't do a lot of ADT. If you'd done a lot of ADT for a longer period of time, which most of these guys on this call have done, it would have come back slower. You're already unusual in having such a high level of testosterone at 77, and clearly the ADT didn't compromise you, and you're very fortunate. You're in a great situation. I do want to address Gary's point, which is that you don't have a medical oncologist on board, and we would like to see that. I think if you would have come to us when your PSA was around 0.2, we probably would have directed you to go back to a medical oncologist and not a urologist. But the thing is, you started with the urologist over there, you went to see Abdullah, he's doing a good job. So I think you just have to see how you do, and God forbid you need any more treatment. At that point, they'll move you on to or we would encourage that they move you on to a medical oncologist. But you're not there. You're not at that point. And I don't see if it were me, I wouldn't bring one onto my team just for the sake of it, given where you're at.
Wait, hold on 1 second. I missed one word you said there. You said you would not get a medical oncologist at this stage?
No, I would not.
I don't. No.
Okay. No one suggested that. So the only oncologist I got was the guy that did the radiation. I think he calls himself a radiation oncologist, right?
Correct.
Right. He's not. Right. But at some point, if things change, then I think you will want to see a medical oncologist.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for now, it sounds like you're in great shape. And I just wanted, you got Rusty's comment. The other comment that I will make to sort of conclude all this, that there was a very recent paper that came out of the bipolar androgen therapy study, where they're giving people high doses of testosterone for treatment. And what they showed is that the metabolic parameters and the muscle strength parameters, almost everything just bounces back almost immediately in BAT. So that's, if you give the testosterone, things come back. So that I thought was an interesting observation.
Wait a minute. You mean things come back? You mean cancer comes back?
No, your strength comes back, your muscle strength comes back.
Strength.
All the things with BAT, that it came back much faster than they even expected. They weren't looking at cancer. This is the side effects of testosterone deprivation.
Okay.
So that was an interesting thing. But I think, Jim, I think it's going. You sound like you're on the right trajectory, and I think we need to move on to others tonight. And then you're certainly welcome to follow with us.
Yeah. Well, good.
Before
Thank you.
we move on, I just wanted to check in with Pat Martin. Do you need any time tonight?
No, I'm good.
And Russ Hoover,
He said no already.
he did. I
yeah.
missed that. Okay. And Len, I didn't ask you.
Yeah, you did.
I did? I don't
Yeah.
think I did because I would have crossed it off.
Yeah, I said no, Herb.
Okay, sorry about that. I must be
Right.
missing. All right, well, there we are. Well, our next new person is Maria Cintia, and she's going to tell us about her husband, Fernando. So Maria, are you with us now? Your camera's off and your mic is off. Maria, are you here? All right, well.
She was with us just
Oh, there you
before.
are.
She must have taken a break.
She's back.
Oh, she's back.
She comes.
Okay.
Hi, Maria. You're muted.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Okay, I'm
welcome
back.
to
I'm
our
here.
group. The
Oh,
other
thank
thing we
you.
can, and you mentioned it, we already know about our caregivers group, but let's talk about Fernando.
Fernando is 65 years old. He had
Okay.
first cancer house in 2015 and December. He had radiotherapy on January
Hold on.
2016.
Let's hold on. So it's 2016. So, but let's first go back. So where do you live?
Florida, Clearwater.
Florida. Okay. And in 2016, he was diagnosed with cancer.
At the end of 2015, but the treatment started in 2016. They make radiotherapy for 2 months.
Okay, before the treatment, do you remember when they took a biopsy before
they
took
a biopsy? Yeah, they took in 2015.
Do you remember what his PSA was?
4.
His PSA was 4.
4. Yeah.
Okay. And then what? And then when they did the biopsy, did they give you a Gleason score?
They did the biopsy and they said that they have cancer. So, but they recommend us to do the radiotherapy, not to the surgery. I was more pro surgery than the radiotherapy. Okay, but they have the radiotherapy in 2016 for a couple months, for 2 months, and then everything went fine until last year in 2020. In August, the cancer came back.
So how did they find that out?
With the PSA test.
And what was the PSA at that time?
It was kind of 4.2 again, and it was August 2020. We went to another oncologist, urologist from Moffitt Cancer Center here. His name is Julio Posan, and he recommended a cryotherapy because they said that it was very hard to remove the prostate after the radiotherapy. It was
okay.
They say
I guess
they
first. But let me ask a question. When his PSA was 4.2, and then you went to Moffitt and you saw this person, and was he was a urologist?
Is a chief urologist and oncologist at the Moffitt Cancer Center. Her name is Julio. Right. Julio Posan. It's Pawsang. It's like an Asian last name.
Right.
Julio Posan. He is from Moffitt Cancer Center.
Yeah, we know. And I think he's a GU Med Onc, if I remember correctly. I'm just checking right now, but I think he's a GU medical oncologist.
It's Julio. His name is Julio.
Yeah, we got it.
And then the question
he recommended the cryotherapy, and they make the cryotherapy on December the 10
Before
2000.
that, let me ask a question. Before the cryotherapy, do they do any imaging? Did they look
CT
to
scan.
see?
CT scan.
Right. So what kind of scans did he get? Do you remember?
It was a cancer in the left side of the prostate, going to another vessel that they have the prostate. So they make the cryotherapy in the left part of the prostate. So this was in December last year, 2020, but the PSA started going up, and he went up this year to in July was 12. And yeah, and he
Okay.
started hormone therapy on July 9. They had the first shot. I don't remember what kind of injection is, but it's one injection. And he's gonna see, he's seeing 2 doctors already. One is from Moffitt Cancer Center. No, not anymore Dr. Posan. Now he transferred, he wanted to see another doctor that is urologist too and oncologist. They also have I don't remember the last name. It's an Asian last name. I think it's Sang or something like that. Okay, but the guy who is put the injection, her name is Dr. David Wink, and he is from the American Society. He's from another office, and he was recommended by a friend, and that's why we visit him. And he is a great guy. He is very positive. But we went again to Moffitt a week ago, and this new doctor said that he is stage 4. He said also that he had only 8 to 10 years, the top. He also said that he's gonna do a genetic test. That is the only positive that I found with this visit to this doctor. And he's aware that he's on the hormone therapy already. So now we get very stressed out about this last.
So I guess one thing we would ask, and I know you're seeing a lot of doctors, we really need the person in charge of Fernando needs to be a medical oncologist. And Rick, you were searching. Did you find one? Did you?
Yeah.
Are
So,
any of these physicians?
Let me ask you a couple of questions, Maria. Pao Sang, I did recognize his name. He is the chief of the department, but he's a urologist. So you should not be seeing him right now. Now, who is the person who gave Fernando the hormone therapy injection?
Dr. David Wink.
David Wink. And what type of doctor is he?
He is an urologist, oncologist.
Right. So you don't want to see a urologist oncologist.
Why?
He may be positive, but he doesn't have expertise in managing advanced cancer. His expertise finishes when he's removed the prostate. There are
they haven't removed the prostate.
Well, but
let one at a time. His expertise finishes when the prostate is treated, either by radiation or surgery.
Okay, I got you.
And there are a lot of urologists who think they have the knowledge, but they don't. Because they try to stay. And you should also know that it's very profitable to give these injections every 3 months. And so they like to keep the patients. But who is the other doctor that you have now been referred to at Moffitt?
Dr. Julio Posan referred us to Dr. Sang. Is an Asian doctor that we went to
last. Could you spell it?
SHANG. A-N-G, but I don't remember the name.
Yes, Dr. Zhang. So Dr. Zhang is the right doctor.
It's oncologist.
He's a
It's
medical
just
oncologist,
oncologist. Okay.
and he specializes in prostate cancer. Zhang, it's Z-H-Z as in zebra, H-A-N-G. Zhang.
Yeah.
And I've actually asked before. I've tried to find out who are the better GU medical oncologists at Moffitt, and he comes back strongly. He's the right doctor, and the doctor that you need to be with, not with Dr. Wink.
Right.
Now, I wanted to tell you something. We have an appointment to visit the MD Anderson Hospital in Houston on November the 3rd.
And who are you going to see there?
I don't have the name, but I can see which is the person who is gonna see us.
Okay, so I've got a couple of suggestions for you. All right.
Okay.
And I think what you really want to do at this point, we need to know a little bit more about the disease. We'll ask you in a minute. But I think you're in a situation where you should be interviewing to see who you like best.
Okay.
Which doctor you like best? Dr. Zhang at Moffitt is definitely an option. If you are willing to go to Houston, I'm going to give you two names in Houston. All right?
Great. I really appreciate that.
Okay. One name is Dr. Korn, C-O-R-N.
C-O-R-N. R-A.
Dr. Korn. And he's at MD Anderson.
Okay.
And the other is a doctor who has been at MD Anderson for the last 12 years, 13 years, but she just moved to Houston Methodist.
Oh, wow.
And we like her a lot. She has the right qualifications and she has the right intention and I would recommend her. Her name is Eleni. E-L-E-N-I.
Let's put it in the chat window, Rob.
Can you put it in the chat?
Window.
Because, and I really do appreciate everything. Thank you.
Okay. So Eleni Efstathiou, she's a really strong, very good doctor. And personality-wise, you might like her better, but Dr. Korn is also very, very good.
I need those two names before anything. Eleni Efstathiou. Okay, she's the one you said that it's good one. Eleni, is a she?
It's a she. Yes.
Okay.
But
and what about another from MD Anderson? Because she's not in the MD Anderson anymore.
Right, and from MD Anderson, we would suggest Paul Korn.
Okay.
But to be honest, I think if you have going to see Dr. Zhang, he has perfectly good credentials in his local.
Which doctor is that one?
Zhang.
Jinsong Zhang at Moffitt.
You know what happened? My experience with Dr. Zhang is he's too cruel. I mean, we ended up crying, all the family. I mean,
okay.
He said,
well, then that's not
only
the doctor
8
for you.
top 10 years. So,
let me say, some of it is in delivery. So it may be, when the metastasis, I wanted to ask you more questions. So let's first ask you about the questions and we'll come back to the doctor. So now the PSA has gone to 12. And have they done scans? Did they do scans in July?
They do the CT scan. Yeah, they do a scan. Now they come down to 1. The PSA right now with the hormone is 1.
When they did the scan in July, where did they see cancer?
There is one lymph node that is inflammation in the left side, and Dr. Shang said that is earlier metastasis.
Right.
Dr. Wing didn't say so.
Yeah,
Dr. Wing didn't say anything about it.
well, because Dr. Wing isn't the right doc.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's forget Dr. Wing right now. Dr.
Okay.
Zhang is right. It's early metastasis. There's an awful lot that we can do. We don't know. I mean, it's a very difficult question to answer. And if you want somebody that you like to give you an answer that you will be true, but you like, that's why we're saying to you, go to see Dr. Korn or Dr. Efstathiou. Both of those will give you answers you like, because we know those doctors. The reason why I could have told you that Zhang is going to be, his bedside manner is not going to be as good as Dr. Korn or Dr. Efstathiou. Both of them are going to be excellent. And that's why I said to you, go see all three and decide. You've seen Dr. Zhang, you don't have to go back to him. He makes you cry. We don't want to talk to him again. Go, if you're going to go to Houston, make an appointment with Dr. Korn and make an appointment with Dr. Efstathiou and decide which one you want. Both those doctors will do a very good job for you. Even though Dr. Efstathiou is no longer at MD Anderson, she has the knowledge and the intention, and she's going to order all the right tests for you, and she's going to treat you right. So you have to decide between the two of them. You know, the difference, Dr. Efstathiou is very Mediterranean. She's a Greek woman, and she's very enthusiastic, and she's very caring, but she's also very, very smart. Dr. Korn is a doctor we've loved for many years. He cares. But they're different personalities, and we don't know which personality you will identify.
I know.
Or Fernando, we don't know which personality Fernando will identify with.
He's a guy that doesn't speak so much. Even right now, I would love to come here, but he said he doesn't want to speak with nobody. So maybe later.
He'll get later. But you know, again, if you want somebody who's more verbal, Eleni is more verbal. Paul is very expressive, but he's less verbal. But they're both fantastic doctors.
Okay.
All right.
Now, my question is how to stop the metastasis to spread.
Well, that's the question, really, is that this is what there are different therapies that are available, but it really depends on where the disease is. So this is what these doctors, Korn, Eleni, even Zhang, even though he made you cry, would order tests, first of all, see how much the disease is and where it is. Number one.
It's only in one side, in one lymph node on the left side.
Right.
Yeah, it's only in one.
But again, we don't know what kind of a scan that he used. There are now just recently introduced a very sensitive scanning mechanism that will really much more carefully delineate it. Tell us if there are things.
Herb, I think you've got to make some assumptions here. That it was done at Moffitt. It's an NCCN hospital. We've got to assume, even though Maria doesn't know, we got to assume it was at least an Axumin scan with a level of 12.
So?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
It wasn't 12.
But we've got to.
Right now, it come down to 1, and Quest is 1, and the Moffitt Cancer Center is 1.2. So it's almost 1, the PSA. Yeah. But the thing is that it's already out. When they say metastasis, earlier metastasis, I understand that it's already out.
Right.
That's why I'm concerned. That's why I'm
But
I'm very.
What Herb is saying is, do you know what type of scan they did at Moffitt? What type of scan? Because
CT.
there are many. Yes, but what type of CT?
I don't know. I can figure it out tomorrow and maybe write it on.
Okay. Yes, you can certainly email us.
Okay.
With any more information.
Yeah,
But
or you can talk to
yeah.
us next week. You know, you've got to make the appointments. You can talk to us next week. You'll come back on next week, and you'll talk to us. And tell us
I'm gonna come. Are you gonna be on Monday here again? Next Monday?
Tuesday.
next week the
Tuesday.
meeting is on Tuesday. Okay, so
But because I'm gonna be tomorrow at 8 p.m. again. I don't know who
Right.
is gonna be tomorrow. Maybe are the wives or
That's
you,
right.
or I don't know.
Right, I will be there, but it's the caregivers meeting. It's a different meeting, and we'll talk to you a little bit. We'll talk to you about these other issues. But next week we have a meeting like this one.
Okay.
But our meetings are the first. These meetings that you're in right now are the first and third Monday at 8 p.m. and the
Okay.
second and fourth Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Will you send me those by email so I can
Yes.
Here's
schedule?
what I want you to do, okay? Because we're a volunteer organization. It's not easy for us to keep doing these things. We want you to do some things. We
Okay.
want you to go to our website,
Okay.
AnCan.org. We'll put it in the chat window.
Okay.
AnCan.org. Okay?
Okay.
I sent that
Okay.
to Jake because I was just about to write something to Jake, so I'll put it in again, and I'll put it in properly. So I'm going to put in our website address, and what we want you to do is go to the website, and you'll find prostate cancer groups.
Okay.
And under that, you'll look and you'll see all the times. The other thing we want you to do is to sign up. You can
Okay.
sign up there, and we will send you a reminder before each meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay?
I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And then if you need to get hold of us, you can write to one of us, or you can write to info@ancan.org, and we'll help you. But between now and next week, not much is going to change, because the first thing you've got to do is make appointments with MD Anderson and make appointments with
the other one.
Houston Methodist,
Eleni.
with
Right.
Dr. E. Okay?
Okay.
She goes by, you can call her Dr. E. Everybody calls her Dr. E. Okay?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
that's really now, but I have another important question. They gave you Eligard. They gave him a shot of Eligard, I think, or they gave him a shot of hormone therapy, right?
Hormone therapy, yes.
Probably not Eligard, probably Firmagon. Did they give him any pills before that to
No.
take? Okay,
No.
so they probably gave him a shot of what they call Firmagon. When did they tell him to come back for another shot?
October 9, after 3 months. So the first was July 9,
Right,
and then he went.
And Dr. Wink gave him that shot, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's why he gave you a shot, but he should have given you some pills to take before it. But a lot of times these doctors, they don't. This is why I'm saying the urologists don't know what they're doing.
Okay.
Thank God you didn't have.
What kind of pills do you mean?
Well, it gets complicated, but the way the shot that he gave you works is it gives you more testosterone before it shuts off your testosterone. That's just the way it works, okay?
Okay.
And what he should do with a man who has metastatic cancer is give you a pill that is a buffer and protects you first, so that if your testosterone goes up, you've got some protection from that. But
Okay.
these doctors don't think.
Okay.
And it makes me a little nuts that he didn't give you this first, but he should have given you a pill first. We don't need the names. There is another type of shot that he can give you, which shuts it straight off, or he can give you a pill which shuts it straight off, but he didn't do that. I know that because if he'd have given you the shot, you would have had to come back in about 4 weeks. Because that shot only lasts 4 weeks. So here's what we need to. The other thing is, he should have also put you on a second drug, and you should expect to get put on a second drug by whether it's Zhang or Efstathiou or Korn. the standard protocol today for a man with metastasis is 2 drugs, not 1.
Okay.
And most likely, we don't give medical advice. We can tell you what the protocol is. The protocol is he gets put on a drug, either something like abiraterone, or a drug like enzalutamide or apalutamide. It's not going to mean a lot to you, but in your future, you should be seeing a second drug being used right now.
Okay.
Right. The other thing
Thank
that,
you.
that they're going to do for you, if they haven't done it already, the standard would also be, do you know if you have cancer in your family?
Yes, they have. They have the brother, and they have 2 first cousins.
And what kind of cancer did his brother have?
Prostate.
Prostate cancer.
Prostate. He had surgery though.
Okay.
They had surgery, but when there's cancer in a family, there could be a reason due to something in your genes.
Yeah, that's why Dr. Sang is the only one doctor who recommend that test, and he's gonna do the test.
Oh, he's going to do the genetic testing.
Yeah, Dr. Zhang. Yeah.
Well, I think that I would wait. If he hasn't started the genetic testing, I would wait and decide which doctor you want to use and let them do the genetic testing. If he started it, it doesn't matter. But if he hasn't started it, I would be sure to tell both Paul Korn and Eleni Efstathiou that you have a cancer, and then let them follow through. Because if you're going to change from Dr. Zhang anyway, you know, it's not going to make a big difference right now.
I got you.
Right, but it's something that there's a case where, because Zhang was a medical oncologist, he knew which test he needed, right? Which is why you really needed to be seen by somebody like him or Korn or Dr. E. That are all.
Do you know another doctor from this area that you can recommend me from Tampa Bay area? I'm in Clearwater, but Tampa Bay area is a big place.
Len, do you have any?
Yeah, Len, what about your lady in Sarasota?
Yeah, she'd be great. Medical oncologist. She's a Harvard grad, did a fellowship at Dana-Farber, really smart lady.
Yeah.
Excellent bedside manner. You'd like her a lot. I'll put her name in the chat box, okay, Maria?
Okay, I think it's Sarasota is like maybe 1.5 hours from here. But if she really worth it, we can go there. It's okay.
Yeah,
if you don't have nobody from here, it's okay.
It's closer than Houston.
It's closer than Houston.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's closer than Houston. Yes.
So I mean, there's a case where if Len, she is a GU onc, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes.
Okay,
so
put the name of. Do you put the name of the lady, Dr. Elizabeth Guancial? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Hold on a minute, and I have a link for her too, because I
do appreciate everything, guys. I do really appreciate it. I really needed you.
So hold on a minute, and I'll give you a link for Guancial so you can look at her. Here we go. Yeah, I think that's a great idea because Len really liked her, and now she's. Well, I keep sending this stuff to Jake. I've got to move this to everyone. We'll try this again. Okay, so there's a link to her. Look, usually we prefer to send people to the centers of excellence, like MD Anderson or
we wanted to go to New York. Do you have any place in New York that need it or something like that? Institute or something?
We do, but I would say you don't need to run around everywhere. I mean,
Right.
we're not going to send you to
We're
any.
very nervous. We're
Yeah.
very stressed out with this.
Sure. No.
Yeah,
You
My
know,
husband is 65 years old.
Yeah, we got it.
Let me tell you
Listen,
something. Well, let me say something. There are many men, Maria, like me, who have metastatic disease and were very nervous. And, you know, when we first got diagnosed, we thought this was the end.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I felt, okay? But in fact, when you see a capable doc, what they're going to tell you is their goal is to make this just a stable disease, right? Just make it a chronic disease, not something that's going to that's not going to do you in. And so we're all in this boat together. And this is really the advantage of modern therapy that these docs are going to be good for, is that they're going to tell you this is what's going to keep Fernando around.
Okay. I met my
So-
husband when I was 16 years old. And I'm 60 and this
No.
all my life.
So we totally understand. And the main thing here is that the other thing we'll tell you is that, again, you know, like too many cooks spoil the broth. You really want to find a doctor you like. You don't have to go to New York and Houston and Florida and whatever. You want to find
It's
somebody
because
who you know.
You know what happened with us? We're living in here since 2009, and we really don't know anything. We're actually from Bolivia. We're citizen now, but we're from Bolivia, and we don't know. We know good hospitals. That's why I want to talk to you or someone from here, so you can tell me something.
We're here. The one thing is we're here for you. You've now come to the place where you can get advice, and we're all here to do that. And we want to make sure Fernando gets the best treatment.
Yeah,
we're all on the same boat here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And I would say to you, Maria, that between the three doctors that we've mentioned, that's as good a choice as you're going to get. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have a go-to medical oncologist at Moffitt, and there isn't somebody at Moffitt that we really like.
Who is it?
No, there is not.
There is not. Okay.
We don't have somebody at Moffitt that we really like, and this is why we struggle. And let me tell you, you are better off than in Southern Florida. There's no one in Southern Florida.
Okay.
So we send people to the closest, and I think, and Len has found this lady, Guancial, who is very well trained. She's at a local office, but she's very, very well trained. And
okay, the one in Sarasota.
The one in Sarasota, and we wouldn't recommend somebody.
I'm gonna see her pretty soon. I'm gonna take an appointment with her because the idea to go to hear another opinion come up, and that's why we're going to Houston. And my son lives in New York, so that's why we're gonna go to New York too. It's only to hear about the treatments, which if the treatment they're doing here is the good one, or if it's another treatment or what else. We just want to hear a second opinion.
Chances are, as Rick said, that they're all going to, at this stage of disease, there's generally a pretty good agreement about what the treatment will be.
Okay.
So my suspicion is that most of these people are going to say the same thing. It's just you want to like them, and you want them to be capable.
Yeah,
I mean, there are these published guidelines about how to treat cancer, and they're mostly going to follow those guidelines. Now, so far, Dr. Wink did not follow those guidelines, and that's the sad part.
Okay.
So we'll get you to something who will.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And
Maria, let me just tell you, many of us on this call have been dealing with this disease for 7, 8, 10,
I see Sylvester, he's been dealing with this for over 20 years. So it's not going to be one treatment you're going to get. You're going to probably be going from one to another for many years. And don't get nervous that any doctor that's going to say you only have 8 years to live, run for another doctor, because that's not true. Many of us are very optimistic because they're coming out with new treatments all the time. And there's ways to keep this disease in check. It's not going to kill Fernando, and you'll be able to manage this. I mean, you're not going to get cured, but you will be able to manage it, and you guys will become experts at this, and you'll be able to help many other people as well.
Thank you very much.
And
I do appreciate.
Maria,
Yes.
Joe says, and he's right, that there is an option with telemedicine, and you could probably get an appointment with Dr. E with telemedicine. I don't know about MD Anderson as a first appointment. My guess is you could get an appointment with Dr. E on telemedicine. But why don't you start with Guancial and see how you like her? Is there anybody else on here that wants to say anything to Maria before Herb moves on?
Yeah, well, I'd like to just say, Maria, we'd like you to come back next Tuesday.
Okay.
Again.
Okay.
And then next Tuesday will be at 6 o'clock our time.
Okay.
So, and we can hear more about how things are progressing.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I will be at 6 p.m. next week.
Right. And
Okay.
tomorrow Tuesday is at 8 p.m. Okay?
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, I think tomorrow is the wife's or something. But this chat is very value for me because of the doctor's name that you give me already. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let me just say that there is no reason you have to meet that doctor in person. I have never met my GU oncologist in person, even though she's only 18 miles away and recently moved probably about 5 miles away because she knows everything.
Yeah, that's because you're in the Kaiser system. So it's that when you say there's no reason, there may be a reason. It depends very much on where you are. It's very hard to get a first appointment at a center of excellence telemedicine. Very hard. It's becoming easier, but it's still not there. Dr. E has more flexibility because she's moved away from MD Anderson, so she might do it. But my guess is a first appointment with Dr. Korn, you're going to have to go in person.
It's okay. We're going. We are going already.
Okay.
We're going.
Okay.
And we're going to visit
So,
maybe the Sarasota lady before anything because it's here, it's closer.
Right. So Maria, let's hope we'll let you go to start making those phone calls and make the appointments, and then we'll hear more next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. It's a good deal. Thank you very much.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So we're going to move on now.
Okay.
So Joel, you had something to say, Joel Blanchette.
Yes, two things. I wasn't here last week because I was doing my US2 group, but I did listen to the recording and I heard somebody say that the Medicare was not paying for the PSMA PET scans, and that was not the case for us at the Woodburn Center in Fairfax, Virginia. I had a man from the US2 group go and get a scan about a month ago. They charged him $1,200, but Medicare already reimbursed him. So it's a pretty fast process of reimbursement. So that's the case with the Woodburn Center. Switching topics to myself, back in May, my PSA was at 0.9. In August, it was at 1.5, and in September, it was at 2.1 about a week ago. So it's climbing real fast. I got 2 orders from 2 doctors, one from Walter Reed and one from my urologist in Reston, Virginia here. He sent me to the Woodburn Center, but the Woodburn Center took 10 days to get back to me to schedule it. And by that time, I'm seeing Dr. Sam Denmead at Johns Hopkins this coming Thursday on the 23rd. And I couldn't wait. I wanted to bring, my urologist says, bring that report. your PSMA to Dr. Denmead, hand carry it with you. So the only way I could do it was go to Fort Belvoir, and TRICARE paid for it in full. TRICARE can pay for it in full. And Walter Reed scheduled it for me. I took it last Friday. Probably will pick up the report either tomorrow or Wednesday, and I will be at Sam Denmead's office at 4 o'clock on Thursday, this coming Thursday. I don't know where the cancer is, but hopefully the PSMA PET scan has found that out for me, and we'll go from there.
Was that a Pylarify scan, Joel?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Brian Davenport, who's not here tonight, but a member of the group, was the third guy in line to take one at Fort Belvoir after they offered it. I don't know how good they are, but the isotope itself comes from Sterling, Virginia.
Yeah, you know, I think the big question more than anything is who's reading it. So what you might want to do is not just take the report, but take the scans with you to Denmead so that somebody in the Hopkins enterprise, in the Hopkins institution can read the scans. That's often a bigger issue.
Yeah, that was my big concern about where I was going to go, and I found out once I went to Belvoir that they don't read the scans. Walter Reed reads the scans, but that's exactly what I'm doing. I ordered 4 CDs today with the scans on them, including the reports are on the CD. So I'm going to hand. I've got 3 doctors who want them already, and I'm going to hand carry one to Sam Denmead, of course, and he can see the report and the scan at the same time. Along as if John Hopkins, as a radiologist, wants to read them, that'd be great too. Because I was.
No, I'm sure Denmead will get a radiologist to look at it.
Okay, great. Because that was my purpose in hurrying it up and getting a PSMA scan before I saw Denmead.
Well, we will obviously want to hear more as things progress, as you learn more.
Right.
Because it's going up pretty fast.
Yeah, I missed. I was taking a note on something else. What was the most recent?
Most recent was 2.1.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah. I agree. I think it's a question of getting somebody, the right sort of doc to read these scans, and we'll see. So. Yeah. Anybody else have any comments or thoughts, or can benefit from Joel's experience?
Okay. So Joel will we'll just follow along to see what happens.
Right. I'll be back next week, and I'll let you know what Sam Denmead said.
Yeah, because it was really interesting to see what Denmead is peddling.
Yep. Maybe he'll put me in a bat study.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Right, you get all of a sudden you'll get a shot of testosterone.
You know, he is a bit of a one-track pony, so you gotta watch out for that, Joe.
Yeah. Okay.
Joe, ask him about if he's promoting bat therapy. Ask him about tests that can determine how or be predictive of how well you will respond. I think there's a test that measures the number of androgen receptors you have on the prostate cancer cells. And the more you have, the better the bat therapy will work. So just talk to him about that.
Does Hopkins have that test, or do you have to go someplace else, or what?
I imagine Hopkins would have it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, given that they're doing that therapy.
What?
Well, given that they're doing bat, that's their thing. They ought to do that test.
Wasn't Denmead the pioneer for bat therapy?
Yep.
And my understanding is there's no way to know who it will work on and who it won't, but maybe that's changed since the last time I discussed it. But
Len?
obviously, I never heard of this test for androgen receptor, so I'll look into that for me too.
Yeah, there's a study. I'll see if I can find it. I remember reading about it.
Okay. Well, Joel will follow and we'll move on, but we'll definitely follow along with what's happening.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, Steve, can you tell us what's going on?
Well, it's a little bit hard to know where to start, to tell you the truth.
Oh, we know we're in the middle. You sort of told us where we were.
Right. I sent you guys some stuff before. At any rate, I guess number one, I start chemotherapy on this Thursday. And I did get approved by Medicare, I guess, for cabazitaxel as my first chemotherapy experience. I think that's a positive situation. As someone said here, I've been a member of the ABC Club, maybe a charter member since I started on this journey. But I've decided that it's time to give up whatever emotional baggage I brought into this, which did not want me to do chemo. And it pretty much dates back almost 40, well, not almost 40 years since my father had prostate cancer and how he was treated in the late 70s and early 80s. But be that as it may, so to some extent, as I start cabazitaxel, I'm interested in hearing from people who've done it. And I guess even before we get there, I flunked out of the AMG 509 clinical trial at the end of June. And I've shared with you guys my PSA chart, which is many multiples of that which I've heard from anybody else here since I've started. Which I don't know if there's a double advanced prostate cancer group, but since I'm, bouncing around between 80 and 120 since February, I'm pretty much, I insisted on starting chemotherapy. I did have a lot of pain at the end of the Amgen thing, and I've been taking pain medication, although over the last day or two I've stopped. My oncologist has not had any kind of real urgency to get me started on the next disease treatment. Since really June, I haven't taken anything to treat the disease. I've been dealing with pain medication and radiation therapy to deal with the symptoms. And so I'm curious about your perspective on his lack of urgency, given that I have a lot of metastasis, a pretty crappy PSA history, I'm not, I'm glad to be started. And actually, what happened is that the pain had been really good since August with the pain medication and the radiation therapy. But starting last Wednesday, last Thursday, which for me was supposed to be go to a family gathering to break the fast and see everybody in my family, including my 2.5-year-old granddaughter. I couldn't make it. I hurt so bad. And when I told him that, he all of a sudden found the urgency to move up my chemotherapy beginning from the 30th to the 23rd. And I mean, I guess, to be quite frank about it, I just don't understand some of the things he says and does. And lastly, I haven't had any imaging or tests, and he doesn't seem to believe in any of the PSMA or Oxyman scans. As I started with him, I made him do the Oxyman scans on a yearly basis. But now, I don't, during the course of the clinical trial, I had to take bone scans and CT scans. And quite frankly, when things started to be a problem, then I had to go have an MRI because the bone scan, basically wasn't indicating that there was any progress in the lesions, but apparently they were getting more intense and digging into the vertebrae column, which didn't show up on the bone scan. And I have no confidence. I have absolutely no confidence in the bone scan as a test.
So Steve, let me ask a hard question, which is why do you like this guy so much?
Well, it actually is not a hard question because the answer is I was in the process of leaving him at the end of 2020 when he called me to say I was in this clinical trial, and the oncologist I was seeing at Penn at the time said this is a great, very promising clinical trial, and the people at Jefferson and Kelly seem to get all of the prostate cancer clinical trials before University of Pennsylvania here in Philadelphia. And he's very tied, first of all, he was at Sloan Kettering for a long time, one. Two, he's very well connected with the Prostate Cancer Foundation. And their leading philanthropist fundraiser here is somebody that I've known for 38 years. And so the answer is really because of the clinical trials that he has. But I feel like I have, I really don't like Jefferson as an institution. Just to give you a little bit of background, my brother was my baby brother, my kid brother, obviously, neither one of us are babies or kids. I have a hard time. Anyway, he was diagnosed with glioblastoma last January 2020. And he died in October. And I pulled it, he was rushed he collapsed and was rushed from one hospital in the suburbs of Philadelphia down to Jefferson, which also has the premier, has a reputation for the premier neurology center in Philadelphia area. But, with the surgeon and then the oncologist, and I was really taking care of him. I mean, he was a mess. His wife was, anyway, I don't have to go into that. But I pulled him out because I just couldn't get good communications. And it seems I'm basically at the same place. So, when you say, why do I like him? I'm skeptical, but I also talk to the oncologist and radiologist at Penn all the time, but I'm a little afraid to call them too often, which I probably shouldn't.
Well, I mean, clearly the numbers of therapies outside of trials available to you were limited because you did them all. So I think your ABC syndrome can sometimes not be helpful.
I would say that it's fairly, you don't have to pull any punches with me. It's pretty clear to me that I've made some errors in judgment at this point. And, the question at the moment is, I guess, one, I'm looking for confirmation that they were errors in judgment, I guess, to some extent. But two,
Steve.
Yeah.
Talk about ABC, and I'm going to make a little interjection here. Carl's not with us tonight. Do you know anything?
No, I actually, no, I didn't reach out to him yesterday or today. I was going to, but I didn't. I did speak to him late last week, and he seemed very good at that moment, at that time.
Okay, so let's get back to you. So cabazitaxel, is there anybody on the call that had cabazitaxel? Okay, so the answer is not, there's no one that has personal experience with it. I've had Taxol, others on this have had docetaxel.
Right. You know,
And they're really the same target.
Yeah.
They target the same biological entity. Supposedly, cabazitaxel has has fewer side effects.
Right. So let me address that. The cabazitaxel profile is usually a better profile. Now, we've known some folks who have had cabazitaxel and they have not done well with it.
better in what way? Better for treating the disease or better for the side effects?
Side effects. And it is almost always used second line after docetaxel. So you're kind of lucky that they approved it first, but it should be a little less intense than the docetaxel. That said, we have had people who haven't done well on it, and I'd have to go back and look, but I've got a feeling those might have been the people that hadn't done docetaxel first, that this was their initial exposure to chemotherapy.
Understood.
But I'm just not too certain about that. But by and large, what we have seen is that the guys over the years, I mean, it was innovated and approved around 2014 or 15, sometime around then. And the people that have done it have really done quite well with it.
Okay, thanks. Well, throughout my life, I've been very fit and worked out, anywhere from 4 to 7 times a week. And I kind of stopped that during the time I was taking the clinical trial, and inspired by some of the people I've heard speak on this forum, I've decided to start working out every day for at least some time. Now I missed today because I was too busy. I thought I would get it done. Somehow or other, I mixed up the time for tonight.
Stephen?
Yes.
This is Peter. You mentioned in one of your emails that you've been anemic for some time now.
Slightly.
Is your hemoglobin?
Yeah.
Is your hemoglobin around 10 or 11 or higher?
It's 11. It was 11, I remember.
What?
Your hemoglobin, was it around 11? Below that?
I actually sent you those numbers as well.
Yeah, Peter, what he sent us today, the last measurement was around 11.
Okay, I didn't see. Anyway, I'm also anemic.
I've really only once in the last 9 months been under 11. It was 10.7, and the last one I'm not at the end.
The reason I bring it up is I went through chemo last year. I too am anemic. Mine was around 10, 11. It dropped down during chemo to as low as 8.5. My doc put me on a drug called Procrit, Procrit.
Yep, they should.
Which is a monthly shot. You'll probably automatically get the Neulasta injection.
Yes.
You're white,
yes.
But Procrit stimulates does
I have to go back there for
blood cells
in 24 hours or something. I'm for Neulasta.
Yeah, but Procrit stimulates the same way the red blood cells, and that's it kept me away from having to get a transfusion, because I did not want to get a transfusion.
A blood transfusion, especially during the last year, I guess.
Exactly. So
How do you spell that? How do you spell that?
Procrit. It's a little bit controversial. One of my oncologists did not want to do it, and the other one did, and I had to push for it. But I did it for a year.
I think again, I was told to avoid it.
Why?
So again, it depends on I think it depends on what your hematocrit is and what your hemoglobin levels are. If it goes below a certain amount, they're going to want to do something. But you're going to get Neulasta automatically, and that should keep it up enough.
Okay.
But I think the side effects. I mean, I think you're going to feel tired. It's but you'll get through it. We all did. We all managed somehow.
I mean, I kind of have to, so I will. It's not like I have any choice, and I'm mentally and emotionally, and I'm ready. As I would say to you, I'm locked and loaded to start the chemotherapy.
Good.
And so I have no hesitation or question now. From another, as I decided, he basically has been giving me like 6 or 7 possibilities of what to do without ever really taking a position until September 9th, at which point he said I should choose between chemotherapy and radium-223. And at that time, he still said there's no rush to start anything.
Oh.
You're feeling good, you might as well enjoy it. At which point I said, I've really already decided I don't need time to think. I want to start chemotherapy and as soon as possible. And since then, I've written him 2 notes saying, like, why aren't we getting started already? At which point we scheduled the 30th. And then when I started to be in pain again, he moved it to the 23rd after I spoke to his nurse.
Okay. Well, certainly the first couple of days you'll be fine. You're going to get tired. So, the weekend is you'll probably be tired.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back to, the other question I have is, I had every 8 weeks during the clinical trial, I had the bone scan. And then after, after the problems, it was clear that the cancer was on the move. I had MRI and, I had CT scans with all the bone scans. And then I had another MRI to pinpoint where they wanted to do the radiation therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's 90 days again, and am I wrong to ask for scans?
No, I don't think you need it. I think it's not going to make it, it's not going to be informative at this point.
Well, the only thing I have are MRIs and bone scans, really, and it seems to me that there's many better vehicles for taking images of cancer, and I should have a baseline of either the Polarify or Oxymin or something, which I did, yearly for the first 3 years that I had cancer. So, but I guess you guys are saying.
But again, Steve, I'm just not sure that it will inform the decision, any clinical decision.
Yeah, Steve, it's Ken Anderson.
Steve, do you have only bone mets, no lymph node involvement, no soft tissue of any?
Right. No, I have no soft tissue. I have no lymph nodes, ever since the beginning. And indeed, I was diagnosed basically right around now in 2017. And I had Gleason 9 and so forth. And then I had a prostatectomy December 19th, 2017. My PSA never got below 0.58. And that was at 90 days. At 120 days, it had doubled.
Let me interrupt you, Steve, because we don't want to go back. We don't need that history now. The question is whether a scan right now is beneficial. And, there is I'm of the opinion, and others too, that you don't do a test unless it's going to change your treatment path.
Okay.
And the question I think we're asking is, if we did a scan right now, would it change what you're going to do? Ken Anderson.
All right, I'm sorry to go through this.
Let's just hear from Ken Anderson and then keep a note of your thoughts. Ken, what did you want to say?
No, I was just going to say, sorry about that. I was just going to say, it sounds like you're riding in the back seat, Steve. You need to step up and tell your doctor what it is you want to do. I mean, I think going on to, hold on now, let me finish.
I just want to know what you mean riding in the back seat. What's riding in the back seat?
Well,
you're the passenger.
You're the passenger. You need to, it sounds like you've already told him, hey, you said it a number of times that you would like to get this moved up quicker rather than later. You need to like not only send the message, you need to insist sooner rather than later. I mean, I think, I don't know why you haven't did docetaxel first, because
Well, that was
taking,
my decision and that was a mistake, but I'm not
no,
blaming that.
no, it's okay. You make decisions, but you really need to like be your own advocate and push for your care. I mean, you can sit back and ride in the back seat if that's your choice, but
It's not really my
you really,
personality to do so, but I've, you know, at the moment, I think to some extent I intimidated them out of the chemotherapy because I really didn't want to do it. Now that I want to do it, you know, it's not happening as fast as I want.
right. Don't let it get you mental though, because I remember my first round of chemo, I got the shingles.
I
So if
got
you
that
haven't
from
had the
radiation in 2018.
yeah. But
So
I would say step up and tell your doctor what it is you want. You sound like you know. I mean, it sounds like you know what the course of treatment is. So I don't know why you're not more like pushing for that treatment. Because you're right, your PSA is going up, your bone mets are getting worse. I just think you need to like jump up and say, hey guys, this is what the hell I want to do, and let's do it. So anyway,
okay,
that's just my comment.
I guess I have one more thing to add that, you know, I was getting to, but at any rate, in the last couple of tests, I've developed a nodule on the adrenal gland on top of my right kidney. And at the end of the clinical trial, they offered to do a biopsy on that adrenal gland. And I was pretty sure that it was going to show, you know, that it was a tumor. At any rate, at the same time that they took cores out for AmGen, or the sponsor, I assume is AmGen, that's the name of the company that runs it.
Right.
That they took some at Jefferson and did a biopsy on them. And when you know, the results said they got nothing, you know, it was negative. And when I asked Dr. Kelly about it, he said, well, it means they didn't hit any tumor, or there was none. So I was kind of annoyed at that also, you know, because that's basically saying nothing to me, in my opinion.
Well, but Steve, that's what a biopsy unfortunately is. They're basically taking a little sample. It's a statistical sample. And usually it's very, you know, obviously if they do prostate, the more cores they take, the more samples they take, the higher probability. But again, I don't know how many samples, but yes, negative means they didn't find cancer in the samples that they got.
Right. I mean, the nodule at that time, I think, was
The
170.
chemo will take care of it.
Okay.
If it's cancer.
So, Steve, a couple of things I want to put on the table for you.
Sure.
One is that it's a good thing that you're getting the chemo out the way, because we really still don't know exactly how the lutetium 177 PSMA approval is going to come down, but there's a pretty good chance it's going to come down requiring you to have already done chemotherapy. It's a complicated topic because of the way they structured the trial, but from everything we've seen before, they've wanted people who have already done therapy to do that before they give them lutetium. So you've got it out the way in case they do need it. The second thing that you might want to consider, because cabazitaxel is a course and you're going to be assuming you do well enough, is it's not a bad point in time to be shopping around if you want to switch docs. Because
Understood. And I know where I want to go if I do.
Well, where do you want to go?
Primarily to Penn.
And who do you want to see? And why to Penn? And who do you want to see?
Well, in my journey to here, I've spoken to Dr. Howard Shear at Sloan Kettering, who.
But I don't want to go backwards. Let's go forwards. Why do you want to go to Penn? And who do you want to see there?
His name is Narayan.
Okay. And the reason I ask is because, yes, we know him, but Penn's not that well known for
prostate cancer. Okay.
Prostate cancer. And I would say go to a couple of docs who are well known or we've seen have done good for prostate cancer. By all means, go talk to Narayan, but talk to Geynisman at Fox Chase, who we know is pretty good.
What's his name?
Geynisman, Geynisman. Somebody MAN. Somebody will put it in the chat window for you.
Okay.
Joe Gallo. Any other names that you would throw in the hat in your area?
I've spoken to Belusic at NIH. I've spoken to Dr. Simons at PCF in California. And I've spoken to Denmead, and I was thinking about going back to them also.
Yeah, but you can't go back to Simons because he's in California and he's retired. Chuck Ryan's taking over, and Chuck Ryan's not going to take you.
Oh, you're frozen. Am I frozen?
No, Rick is frozen.
Okay.
But Steve, I mean, I think we have to move on tonight, but I think, we want to get this chemo. Let's do one step at a time, and let's see how you do.
Okay.
Hello,
okay?
Joe.
Right.
Any other comments before we move on?
Yeah, just a quick one. Steve, look into fasting 48 hours before chemo and 24 hours after. Dr. Tanya Dorff has been running studies showing that fasting can help ameliorate side effects of chemo, because your normal cells, when you're fasting, your normal cells will go into a type of hibernation, so they won't be damaged by the chemo, but the cancer cells just keep partying on. So even though you're fasting.
All right. So I guess that means I should start really tomorrow for Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, maybe talk to your doctor about it. Make sure it's not going to damage your health in any way. I don't know what your.
Well, I have really done intermittent fasting for years up until the last month or so. And I fast every Saturday for 24 hours. So I'm kind of used to it. And I've done some reading about it for this. It's a little harder for me now than it used to be for some reason. But, I'll get myself psyched up for it again. You said 48 hours before. And
it said, just Google Tanya Dorff, DORFF, fasting, and I just
actually have watched that. I think you guys might have sent it to me when I first started here. But how about ice and for the ice caps and gloves and for the boots?
I don't know.
Anybody have any experience or thoughts?
Peter had a little experience with it, right, Peter? You muted.
Can you see my hair? Wasn't that thick a year ago? Yeah, I bought one of these things on Amazon. It's made in Canada, called an ice cap. And it has little pockets that you put your frozen ice gels in. And,
you felt it was helpful and tolerable?
Yeah, I think, well, Yeah, I ended up with some neuropathy in my feet, and they recommend you keep your feet in ice water. I didn't do that.
Yeah,
But,
well, I actually bought the boots and the mittens.
Okay.
Decide what to do.
All right.
Well,
So look,
you can get the hat too. It's not a bad
so
idea.
guys, we're running out of time, so I'd like to.
I have a plug to make though at this point. Steve, are you signed up on Amazon Smile to anybody?
Yeah, actually, my wife is very involved, and we're very involved.
All right. Okay.
You know, that doesn't mean I can't change it around for a while.
Okay, I was just thinking.
I know what it is.
Stuff on Amazon. For those of you who aren't, if you're on Amazon and you're not committed on Amazon Smile, sign up to us because we will get a fraction. I think it's 0.5 cent for every $1 that you spend, and it mounts up. I think we've gone well over $1,000 from Amazon since we started. I forget how much it is, but it's a good thing if you're not signed up.
How long ago did you start?
I can't remember. They just sent us some money this week, and I think $94 for the last quarter.
Yeah, you know, I can switch it around. We've been involved with Living Beyond Breast Cancer for years.
It's okay. I'm thinking.
So Rick, I want to try to get everybody
Go ahead.
Okay. Nick, Jerry, tell us what's up.
This will just maybe, well, it won't lighten up things, but it's different. I got a call from an old friend, and her husband has, she wasn't real clear as to how much metastasis, but she did tell me, because I told her exactly what I was taking, and she said her husband was taking the same thing, Lupron, Zytiga, prednisone. And they are switching him to Xtandi now. But here's the deal. He ended up in the hospital with extremely high calcium. And I just wanted to throw it out to the group and see if anyone has run into that or was told that you could possibly have that happen to you.
Well, Jerry, it's certainly on the list of side effects. When you, I mean, I look at this, I'm taking it, and it's certainly on the list of side effects. And it's certainly the case that they measure my serum calcium every time I do a blood test. So I think, again, this is, you know, it's like every drug will have side effects that are different in different people. And, you know, that's why they have this gazillion list, and you'll never get any of them, but you might get one.
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering if anyone else through their blood serum and that had gotten an increase in calcium to where they called it high calcium. I don't know.
Well, some of us started out with high serum calcium, and there are a bunch of theories around the role of calcium and prostate cancer, and studies actually have been done that correlate, it's not causative, high calcium with more aggressive prostate cancer. That said, I've never heard abiraterone causing, even though I hear what Herb just said, I've never heard it causing high calcium, but high serum calcium and prostate cancer do have some sort of relationship with each other. We don't know what it is.
Okay, that's my only question.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Does anybody, can I just ask, does anybody else have any information on calcium and prostate cancer they would like to contribute?
Not from a prostate cancer point of view, but high serum calcium also can impact the parathyroid.
Sure.
Yep. I know, we know that. Yep. We'll talk about it sometime, Joe.
That was a quick comment. I'm all done.
Thanks.
Okay. So next, Jeff Markey.
Hello there.
Tell us about your new device.
Well, let
I'm
me
jealous.
just run. I was going to ask for some time today. I wanted to get what people's opinion was. As you, Herb, my PSA is bouncing around a little bit with Zytiga. And I know you were 1.6 for 3 months and then 1.7 and then went down. I went from 1.6 to 1.1 to 1.0 to 1.6. And I was asking about getting a PSA PET scan. And Harsark tells me that because I'm on abiraterone and it is probably controlling my getting metastasis and they're growing, that right now is not the time to do it. That when the Zytiga stops working, that's when you need to do it. What are thoughts out there about that? Herb, you had so many other issues. You probably had a PSMA PET scan.
But I had a PSMA PET scan way at that's the very first thing that they did for me when I was diagnosed. But then it was when it was experimental at NIH. But again, how would it change your treatment?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what Rick said. It would not change my, and that's, she said you have to go before a board, and they probably, because I'm on, I don't seem to be having major, and also it's very common for the PSA to jump up and down when you have it. It's just when you're on a Zytiga. So it's, it's not, until it really starts going up steadily, it's not time to do anything. And I imagine let's talk about the new heater, cooler.
I'm jealous.
They now have sessions. I had a lot of problems. I don't know if other people did too, but it would go from -11 to -3 and I wouldn't have touched it. And also sometimes I would change it from all night to hot flash and I'd do it and I'd find out it hadn't changed. Well, they now have sessions. And you can set up a session the way you like it and then assign the session to either of the two buttons. So I have a hot flash session and a all night session. Very nice change to the options that gets around all the issues I'd been having before with things sliding around. The band is thinner and it really makes a difference. I know on the old one, it used to slip around a lot, but the newer one, because it's a little bit thinner, it seems to stick better. It is colder. So if you need it colder, I know the reason I probably use it real cold is because I have some nerve damage in my right arm and that's where I want it. And so I keep it on max cold, but boy, I've actually started trying using one on each arm. And I had a hot flash during the meeting about an hour ago and I hit both of them. And that hot flash felt like it was going to get pretty strong, but it went away. It just went away. And I'm not sure. I've actually asked. I spent quite a bit of time with Pamela Peak today on the phone, and that was one thing I asked her about. She was going to ask them what they thought about it because I don't think anybody's ever tried it. But the new device is much lighter. I actually wear it I was wearing it on the same arm as my watch because since it's on the opposite side, it doesn't get in the way. It seems to fit real well. It's a real nice advantage. But the critical thing is that when you hit this button, you have got to be quick. If you're not really quick, within the first 2 or 3 seconds of feeling that hot flash coming on, you're almost definitely going to get more of a hot flash than you should or could if you were not able to sense the feelings. And it took me 2 or 3 weeks of really concentrating on, all right, here it comes. Where am I feeling it? Because I thought I was feeling it in the front of my head, the back of my head, but it really, for me, I get it in my chest. I immediately feel a little warming there, and then in my back, it hits my back. And if I can hit it when it hit my chest, hitting the wave stops it. It just stops it. So it's pretty incredible how much it really helps.
You hear it? They're still looking for trial people. I actually had my exam last week, and I told them about this, and NIH is going to start to recommend it.
Oh, yes. Oh, when I couldn't use it for 2 days, I realized how much it really helped. It was for 2 days, I had to put it on and wait about 20 seconds before I could turn it on. And what a difference. I mean, it really works.
What's the name of the
how much are they paying you and how much are they paying us? Meanwhile, you're doing this commercial. Is AnCan getting any money?
So I worked on computers for 50 years. I did a lot of troubleshooting. So when I got this thing, I found every bug they had. I just like doing that kind of thing.
Let me answer Herb's question and let me answer Steve Saft's question. Steve, it's called Ember. We've been featuring it for quite some time in our.
I heard you talk about it. It's Ember, EMBER?
I'm putting it in the chat box.
EMBR. And they've got an open clinical trial right now. I'll try and go back and send you. Herb, do you have the clinical trial that you can send? Or do you have the Ember information you can send to Steve?
Well, I just put Ember Wave in the chat box. Google it. It'll come right up.
Okay. But
it's emberlabs.
I see it. Thank you.
Right. And tell them that you're another person from AnCan. Because we've sent them probably more than anybody else. And they were supposed to send us a donation, and that's just gone by the by. And we're doing a hell of a lot for them here. And I think they should at least show some appreciation rather than just trying to get as much as they can for free, because they've got plenty of money. They're getting paid.
Joe, you have the new one too?
I have the new one, but I got turned down because I don't get hot flashes, so I had to purchase it.
Huh. Then what do you use it for?
Yeah,
Jeff,
really.
I've got one question, Jeff. From what I heard also, the new one, the second version, doesn't need to be charged as much. It holds a longer charge.
I have not found that to really be true.
Herb,
it's close to the same. It's real close to the same.
Hey,
guys,
I think we've said enough about this device.
I didn't want to be out there with hot flashes, so that's why I got one. And I got it at a discount, but that's about it.
So guys, I think we said enough for them.
Let me just say, I can get 15 hot flashes and use all night mode, and I still have 20 or 30% left on either one of them.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ember.
Or maybe we should call it Mr. Wave.
Mr. Wave.
How's David Muslin? How's David Muslin doing with his Ember? He's been very silent here. Are you still with us, Mr. Muslin? Yeah, I think you're muted right now.
We can't hear you.
We don't see a telephone. We see Bobkiss here, except that pretty face.
I don't know, David.
Okay. All right. We're just to let you know we're thinking of you.
So, Jake, did you want to say something?
No, Herb. It's kind of late.
Okay.
My PSA did go up 220 points. It's now up to 785. My alkaline phosphatase went down slightly from 280 to 259, which is still very high. And the one that concerns me the most is the eosinophils, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Eosinophils. That went up like 1,000 points from the last one. So I don't know what the hell that means. I don't know.
It's like an allergic reaction to something.
Yeah.
You have any rashes or any signs of allergic sensitivity?
No. At least not that I've noticed.
So Ken, do you have anything tonight? I know I didn't ask because you came in a little late.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Let's. We're not going to just blow over Jay.
All right? We're not. But I wanted to just get Ken's.
But if people come in late, they know the rules.
Okay.
Right. That's why we have them rules. Now, Jake, what are you planning on doing about this, man? Or what is?
No, I'm good, Herb.
No, well, what are we gonna, okay, Jake, what can we do?
I don't know. I'm asking for you guys for some advice. I have not heard word one from her. I don't know what my next step is. I'm radium 223. That's kind of iffy as far as I'm concerned. She doesn't want to do cabazitaxel. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of at a loss.
Why doesn't she want to do cabazitaxel?
Well, because when I did the docetaxel, I started having peripheral neuropathy, and I still do. My legs ache. I don't have numbness and tingling so much, but they just ache. So she doesn't want to do the cabazitaxel. But I think in my case, I think that's probably the most sensible thing for me to try at least. But I have not talked to her. I think she's at a loss. I do. I really do. I don't think she knows what to do. And I think she's waiting for me to tell her what I want. And right now, I don't know what I want.
Well,
that's why I didn't want to talk.
Well, but Jake, this was important. This is an important conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we should have it.
Jake, I mean, we do know that for a good time there, you responded to the docetaxel and then you stopped responding to it, right?
Yes.
So I think that given all the complications in how you get treated, that trying a different type of chemotherapy, it probably makes sense.
Right.
When was the last time you got sequenced at FMI? About 9 months ago, was it?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but it hasn't been that long. 6 months or so. 6 months.
It probably doesn't make sense to sequence you again. If it hasn't been a year, it probably doesn't make sense to sequence you. I think if it were me, with all the restrictions, I would be looking at cabazitaxel. There's a question whether something like carboplatin might make a difference, but we just don't have any evidence for that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, is our paradigm here. Jake, you could try cabazitaxel at a low dose and just escalate and see what happens. And it may be that'll work.
Yeah, I mean, really, if she's concerned about peripheral neuropathy, what's the worst thing that can happen? I get more peripheral neuropathy. It's not fatal. Stage 4 cancer is fatal. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Herb. I agree with you. I think cabazitaxel is the most sensible next step.
And you don't have to take full dose. You don't have to take, you could start at a lower dose and then see what happens. Len, do you agree?
Well, I was thinking he might be, if he's willing, he might be better off with radium 223. I mean, if he's willing to go in for cabazitaxel treatments, why not radium 223? It won't be as hard on your system as chemotherapy, that's for sure. And you had mostly bone mets, right, Jake?
So far, yes.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've had a scan, so chances are that radium 223. That's always been in the back of my mind, Len.
So why does she not want to give that to you?
No, she hasn't said she wouldn't. We just never. She doesn't do it herself. So if we don't talk about it, I'd have to go to a radio pharmacy place.
Would you be willing to do that?
Yes, there is one within my range. But I don't want to go through a whole bunch of scans again to be, because they're going to want to say, oh, we need to get a scan, make sure it hasn't metastasized to any place else, any soft tissue. And I'm sure that's what they're going to want to insist on.
Well, maybe not. I mean, if she prescribes it and not a scan, they will.
Yeah, but the problem is, I think, first of all, I don't know what the side effects are when radium-223 goes to soft tissue. So they tend not to, and it shouldn't go, but if you've got Mets in soft tissue, they don't prescribe it. That might be because it's not going to kill the Mets in the soft tissue anyway.
Right, it doesn't get there. It goes to bone.
So
I don't know where you live, but I do know there are a couple of trials with docetaxel and radium-223 where you get lower doses of chemotherapy along with radium-223.
Yeah.
I don't know if, you know, how they're working. Some people, I mean, some of the things I read said they are promising.
So, you know, I think cabazitaxel or radium-223, it is, you know, it may be, if she prescribes if she's willing to prescribe you the radium-223, maybe you can get it without doing they do normally want to do what, like you said, the scans, but maybe you could get away without a scan. And if they're insisting on the scans, then it's going to take that off the table, and you're going to have to just deal with the cabazitaxel, Jake.
So I guess I'm trying, Rick, this is a question for you, and which I don't understand. Why would a scan isn't going to change the prescription?
Jake doesn't want to do the scan.
The way
What
radium
I'm saying is, if he gets a scan and it says he's got a lot of bone mets, which we expect the scan is going to show, how the hell is that going to change the prescription for radium-223? It won't.
Well, they wouldn't want to give it to him if he had a lot of soft tissue lesions.
Right.
Why not?
Why not? Because 223 won't do anything for the soft tissue lesion.
No, but it will certainly it will have an effect.
Does
I
radium-223?
hear what you're saying, Herb, and I kind of agree with you.
Chemo does.
Basically, what you're saying is, you know, most of my Mets have always been in my bones, and chances are they still are. And if there are a few additional ones that have spread, the radium-223 would probably kill a good portion of the cancer and at least bring it down to a more manageable, you know, level. Whether or not it affects the ones in the soft.
And the only thing radium-223 also, what's your hemoglobin like, Jake?
Oh, very low.
That's probably a reason why they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, my red blood count, my hemoglobin, and my hematocrit are all low.
How much chemo is more toxic to your bone marrow than radium?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Say again, please.
I'm not sure radium-233 is going to knock down your PSA like chemo would.
It would not.
So, Peter, what do you think?
My experience with people on radium-233, it didn't affect their PSA. So it was a mixed bag. I don't know if it really had an effect in someone like, you know, I had a guy here with a situation like Jake's, but I don't know.
You know, oddly enough, Provenge doesn't lower your PSA either, but they say if you get both Provenge and radium-223, they see a PSA drop. Really strange.
My other concern about radium-223, Provenge is out for me. I'm not going to do that one, that's for sure. That's too far to drive. But my other concern about radium-223 is that, and I'm not clear on this, but I think it might disqualify you for lutetium if and when it's approved.
No,
I don't think so.
It does not disqualify you.
Does not?
No.
The other thing, Jake,
the other week.
let me say this really clearly. I'm happy to come and pick you up and take you anywhere.
Thank you, Herb. I appreciate that.
I mean, I just drove by your house today. We're not that far, and I'm happy to go take you anywhere. So don't even think about driving. I'll do it.
Well, thank you. I'll keep that in mind. I do appreciate the thought. Seriously, I do. But yeah, that's what I need to do. I need to talk to her. She's closed tomorrow, but I'll talk to her on Wednesday and find out. You know, should I get radium 223? Should I go back to the cabazitaxel? She still wants to do the mitoxantrone, which I agree. So that was 8 months ago. She wanted to do that, and I said no, based on what I heard here and based on what I found out about it. It's an old school technology that doesn't work. So I don't even want to bother with that. But that's what she's got her mindset on for some reason.
Probably because she's used it for breast cancer.
Right.
It's a little more effective for breast cancer, but not for prostate.
Jake is Larry.
Hi, Larry.
Hey, Jake. Oh, man. Sorry to hear all this. But, what about would you be willing to try some of those ice packs, for your feet, for your hands, if you're going to take a shot at carboxytaxel and try to prevent the neuropathy by, I don't know about this fasting, but I know that ice seems to help. And what about doing these ice treatments and maybe giving it a shot with the other chemo? Just do that as quickly as possible. Try and slow this thing down, hoping for a lutetium approval.
Right. Well, yeah, that would certainly work. I mean, again, I'm not really that concerned about peripheral neuropathy. I mean, if I already have problems walking, it would just make it worse.
Yeah, you should be concerned, and maybe we should be willing to put on an ice boot and.
Yeah, it might help.
That. Well, bring that up with her perhaps, and take a shot at it. And I don't see why you want to delay, because you really want to. This seems to be going completely out of control. Try to bring it under control, whatever you can do. That's my suggestion, anyway.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's good advice.
Well, Rick, do you remember Dom had peripheral neuropathy, and it was driving him crazy. I know he went all over the place trying to get relief from that. So I wouldn't, underplay that concern too much.
Well, I mean, look, I suffer from it. Fortunately, not like a bunch of you guys, but I suffer from it as a result of my treatment. And when you've got it, it can drive you around the twist.
I've had bad peripheral neuropathy since my chemo, and it haunts me to this day. And I'm wearing like L-bean, wickedly warm feet slippers and all this stuff, and it's really haunts me. And I wish I had tried something like the ice packs.
Well, a couple of things with the peripheral neuropathy. I mean, one obviously is Ken deals with it by using gabapentin, Neurontin, and that works for some people. It didn't do anything for me, but it does work for some people. There's a vitamin supplement that people have talked about recently. I forget what it is, B7 or something like that. That also works for some people.
My doctor recommended B6 for me.
B6.
And I do take one every day.
Well, maybe try
after the docetaxel.
Maybe try talking about increasing the dose on that, if you can, if it's safe, and check with them, and maybe take a larger dose. Maybe a larger dose is going to give you some relief. Are you taking gabapentin or which is also called Neurontin?
No, I am not.
So definitely somebody should have suggested that, because that's a real no-brainer. Can it help? I think you find that gabapentin helps you, do you not?
Larry, it didn't really help me for neuropathy. Helped me with statins and shooting pains in my legs.
Right.
Helps with that, but it didn't really help the neuropathy. It didn't change.
Yeah, for me, it does help.
Yeah.
So at any rate, Jake, I think you got to be more aggressive with her.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's get our hands on this.
Hey, Jake, really, it's Larry. You got to stay alive, and you got to get to something like hopefully an FDA approval of lutetium. So can you act quickly? I know it's not your nature.
Oh, I see. Peter said, Peter, you take B6?
I do. As soon as I first heard about it here, and it's the neuropathy is just in my toes now. It used to be in the balls of my feet, and I noticed a big difference pretty quickly.
Oh, good. Well, you heard it from me. So I made a contribution.
Yep.
Yep, Pete. Yep, I can honestly say, Jake, I'd take it as well, and I heard it from you.
Okay, very good.
And I'm going to take it this winter. If my PN starts up again as soon as it gets cold, I'm going to be after that B6 too.
Okay. Yeah, it's over the counter. You can get it from anywhere, and GNC, Amazon, any place. Yeah, the other thing I was thinking about the cabazitaxel herb instead of the radium 223 was if I have mets that have spread, once again, cabazitaxel will be a systemic.
Yep.
Versus radium 223, which is focused.
Right. I also think the other advantage of cabazitaxel, Jay, is they can modulate the dose.
Right.
So if they got to drop it or start lower and whatever, and ramp up and see what happens, they can do it.
Well, I did the docetaxel on it, if you remember, on a weekly basis.
Right.
3 on and 3 on and 1 off. I could possibly do that with cabazitaxel. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if there's been any
talk
studies.
To her on Thursday. Talk to her on Wednesday, and let us know next week what's going on.
Okay.
Or email us anyway.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys.
So, David, do you want to quickly say something? It's late, but certainly I don't want to leave you out.
Yeah, no problem.
Now that we can hear you.
Can you hear me now, Herb?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. So I stopped 3-month Lupron shots 3 or maybe 5 months ago and went on 1-month Lupron shots. And I took a 3-month Lupron shot last week. And before complaining, I get side effects from Lupron shots. I get very itchy eyelids. My face gets drawn. And I get skin rashes, not rashes, but just itchiness. And but I did not get that with a 1-month Lupron shot. I was curious if anybody else was experiencing that.
Nope.
Itchy skin. I'm the only guy. Okay, I'm fortunate to be the only itchy skin guy.
You know, what it might be, David, is that maybe you're allergic to the what do they call it? The structure.
Excipient.
Excipient. Thank you, Professor. So when they give you these longer shots, they create a little framework inside of you which holds and releases the drug over time, right? And they mean, and maybe in the 1 month there's much less, if any, of that. And maybe what you're responding to, could that be possible, Professor?
Potentially. I mean, the excipient could be different than the 1 and 3 month shots, just because it's less. I don't know. I don't know what's in there, but I mean, certainly in the 3-month shot, you get this immense needle and these particles go in. So 1 month might be different.
All right, and maybe it's Regula. I forgot the name of the new 1-day drug, Regulagax. Right. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah,
maybe we can go on that. And also last week I told you I went to see my doctor Hussein, and then I also went for a second opinion with Dr. What's his name? Rick? Shmulowitz. And I went back, Rick, after you made that suggestion. Let's do his recording twice. I'm absolutely changing docs. Because
tell us why. You have to fill the others in because they didn't hear our conversation.
Well, I'll tell you why, and I think Ken Anderson said it. Yeah. When you go in to see Hussein, she tells you what to do.
It's either her way, it's the highway, she's the boss, and she gives you the program. Where I think with Shmulewicz, he lets you be your own self-advocate, and he explains things to me in a much more, in a way that I can really understand. And I think it's worth the change, and I'm going to do it.
Good for you. Well, I'm glad you went back. I'm glad you listened. And, you know, this is her MO. And the other problem I have with her is she's inconsistent. One moment she's telling you this is what you got to do, and she's insisting. And then the next time she's telling you to do something else, and she's insisting. And we don't know what is changing her mind. Right. So, and that's how she is. So, you know, my biggest concern with Shmulewicz, I wrote it to somebody today, is that he's less accepting of intermittent therapy. And so you've just got to be comfortable and be able to talk to him about that. But that's what it sounded like you said to me.
Right. I think he at least he'll listen, and I think there'll be some flexibility there. And I think I connect with him much better than I do with Hussein. So I'm excited about the change.
Okay. Good. And when's it going to happen? Have you told him yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I'm going to do it this week.
You better. Okay. I'll be calling you on Friday, Erev Shabbat. I'll be calling you to make sure you've done it, okay?
You got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm going to make you eat in that sukkah all the next week when the weather turns cold in Chicago.
Okay, got it. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Right now, it's nice enough to eat in the sukkah here.
Okay. Do you have one?
But no.
Oh.
I do
so
not.
For those of you who wonder what the heck we're talking about, if fasting for 25 hours wasn't enough, and the Jewish New Year wasn't enough, now we're supposed to eat outside for the next 8 days, starting tonight, if we can, so we can look at the stars whilst we're eating. How do we do that? We build a temporary structure, which is called a sukkah, and but I don't think anybody on this call has actually built one. I don't know, maybe Len built one, and he's not even Jewish.
I built one.
Did you?
And not mine. I helped a friend build it every year.
Okay.
We used to do it when I was a little boy. My father.
I remember singing songs and drinking a lot of wine.
That sounds like Larry Fish. Yeah, that sounds just right for you, Larry.
My father didn't drink, but he liked to build things.
Used to work for the Hebrew Home for the Aged, running a food part of the food department. And they built a gigantic sukkah, and after work every day would go. I don't know how I got home.
And if you do that, just go outside and look at the beautiful big harvest moon.
There you go. So, you know, basically it's got walls which are temporary, and you put palm leaves, palm fronds, those same palm fronds that you have at Easter, Len. Those same ones. We stick them on the roof and don't wave them around.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. So look, thanks everybody for sticking around. We'll see you all next week.
And good Yontif.
Good Yontif.
Good Yontif.
Very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night, all.
Good job, Herb. Good job, Herb.
Good night.
Good job.
Bye-bye.
Tough night.
You're really kind, and I think you're a good host.
Okay.
Bye.